on the meaning of it because the Yoruba
Yeah,
is like.
Oh, it's waiting for you now. Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing
How are
much.
you?
I'm alright. How are you? I'm looking
I'm
good.
okay. I'm good.
Looking good. All right. I see you. Oh yeah. All right. So how's your day going? How has your day been?
Today has been good. So,
It's good.
I mean, I was at home most of it,
I
but
mean, yes.
me and my family kind of decided to go outside and take some pictures with like my cap and gown and everything. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, we just did that. We went to like a park not that far from where we're at. So that was
Mm-hmm.
what we did for most of the afternoon. And we just came home and ate,
That's
and
cute.
then we were watching
So,
TV.
so when was your graduation ceremony supposed to happen? Like the official one? Like if it was
Oh,
official, when was it supposed to happen?
it happened on the 21st. So it was
21st.
like
Okay.
the virtual one. It was on YouTube. It was like YouTube live.
Dang.
People were just like commenting. But it was
Yeah.
just like whatever. Like I was just watching them call people's names.
Yeah.
And they had like some speakers and stuff. So
Damn.
yeah.
I know that's just different. Did you actually want to be there? Like actually
Like in
be
person,
there?
yeah,
Or
because it's
was it
like a
just
different type of energy being around
yeah,
people,
exactly.
like listening to inspirational speakers and stuff like that. I was kind of looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
um yeah,
I'm sorry.
Rona kind of
Corona,
took that away.
Corona messed up
Corona
literally
took that away.
everything.
But I mean, it was still like I was at home with my family, and we were still like they saw like my name kind of came up on the screen, and we were still like,
Yeah.
yay!
Like, yeah, we're still there. Still
So we
seeing
still
it.
had like the whole thing.
Yeah.
But my gown actually
Damn.
came, the cap and gown came in the mail like the next day, or
Oh
maybe
my
like
god.
later that day. I can't even remember. So I didn't even have on my cap and gown.
Really?
I was kind of watching other people's like stories on Instagram just to see like if they got their cap and gowns and stuff. And some people did, but mine came after the whole virtual ceremony. So I was just like in there in like
Uh,
pajamas.
like I
Yeah,
made it. I
yeah.
showed
I
up.
was in there with pajamas, like a drink, like
That's how
yeah,
you do it. That's how you do it. At least you showed up.
yeah, yeah. I was just chilling. I was just chilling. Like it is what it is.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing else we can really do at this time. It's really it's out of our control, in other words.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
let's get
There's really nothing
started.
else.
Exactly.
Yes, let's
So
get
people are
started.
joining, but I'm gonna get started. People will catch up. I'll post it on my story, and on my page, so people will see this. So can we start
Okay.
off just with you introducing yourself, your name? It could be your whole name, your nickname, your
Yeah.
handle, your creative focus, and also your cultural background and where you grew up.
Okay. So name, correct pronunciation is
Yes, let's go.
Damilola. I guess the Spanish pronunciation that I don't mind is like Damilola,
Okay.
or
It kind of
Damilola.
comes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people call me anyway, by like my full name. But I kind of now prefer to go by Dami because like Lola to me sounds like a kid's name or like a younger girl's name. Like
Okay.
Dami to me just feels a little more mature, even though I don't stop people because I used to go by Lola.
Oh
Like
wow.
yeah, yeah. So but both of them are still like my nicknames. Um, my IG handle is at Sugar Banana, and that is
Come
basically
through with the
like
accent.
um.
Yes.
So it comes from like Igbo men
Mhm.
compliment their like women with by comparing them to fruits and stuff. So like sugar banana is like one of them. Sweet potato is like one of like sweet porero or whatever is like another one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from. There's a song
I love
by the
that.
band that kind of like talks about like his sugar banana, which is like a term of endearment, like my girl, my babe, my sugar banana, basically.
Okay. I would see.
Um,
Honestly, I would have thought of it as like his penis, but I'm glad that you clarified what that means and the meaning behind your IG
yeah,
handle. So thank you.
okay, okay.
Yes.
What was the other thing? I forgot the
So
other thing.
what country you are repping, your background, your cultural background, and also where you grew up.
I'm repping Nigeria,
Yes.
cultural background, Nigeria.
Just like that.
um, where I grew up. I grew up in Nigeria and here. So I was like 9-ish when I moved here. So both Nigeria and Brooklyn, pretty much.
Amazing. Okay. I'm learning new stuff about you every day.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
looking at the questions when you sent that to me. I was like, oh wow, like you're really about to like really learn like
I'm
my
really about
whole
to learn you,
biography.
and this is amazing to me because I feel like I've known you for like a year, almost 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I ask questions, but I never really dig deep into like who you are, where you grew up. So this is gonna be interesting, and I
Yeah,
want
same here,
to learn
same
about
here.
you.
Same
So if you
here
don't have any
too.
questions, cool. But this is about you. So let's get into it. The first question I have for you and for everyone else that I've had on the show is, what is your definition of culture, and what does your culture mean to you?
Um, so culture to me is like it's the way that a group of people kind of agree that they're going to it's like a group of people are saying this is how we are going to behave, this is how we're going to talk, this is how we're going to dress, these are the type of customs that we're going to have.
Yeah.
So that's what culture is to me. It's like the thing that a group of people have decided that they're going to do, you know.
Mm,
That's how I would, yeah, to
okay.
define themselves, as to say like this is our culture, this is
Yeah.
how we speak, this is what we eat, this is how we the kind of music we listen to, dance
Hmm.
to, whatever. To me that's kind of like what culture means to me.
Yeah. Okay. And so what does your culture mean to you? Like your Nigerian roots, what does that mean to you?
um what does my Nigerian culture mean to me? It it informs like I said, like how I identify. It
Yes.
informs like how I speak in certain settings. It informs like, the other languages that, I
Hmm.
speak. It informs how I interact with other people, how I identify. I think I said this part already, but
No, it's
like
fine.
just how I identify, how I see myself,
Yeah.
um, how I dress, what kind of music I listen to, what kind of food I listen to. Yeah.
Okay. And my second question here is, your name
I
is
see my
really
sister
unique.
in the chat.
Ah, thank
My sister is in the
you. So your name, as we talked about it before, even when I first met you, your name is really unique. I had to ask you a few times, like, "What's your name?" Like, I didn't quite catch it, and
It's
even the
cool.
pronunciation,
Yeah, I'm
I
so
was
used to
like,
it. It's cool.
"I know," and that's what I figured. Like, you're so used to this. So, what does your name mean? Because a lot of times I've grew up with Nigerian friends, but most of them they'll either have like an American name first, and then like a
Mhm.
Nigerian middle name, or they'll have like their
Yeah.
Nigerian first name or something, and there's some type of variation of English in it. But for you, like, is your entire name just like a Nigerian name, and what does your name mean?
Yes, it's a whole Nigerian name. My
That's
parents
beautiful.
weren't planning to bring me to the US when they had me. So it wasn't like
Oh,
they were like, oh, we'll give her an American name so that I mean, I'm making assumptions, but I'm assuming it's because of like pronunciation and stuff. Like,
hmm,
oh, it'd be easier for people to pronounce. But no, my parents were not planning to like bring us to America. It was kind of they weren't planning to when they had us, I should say.
oh
When they had
wow.
us, it was like, oh, like we were gonna be in Nigeria. So, my full first name is Damilola, which means God give me wealth. So, like Allah means wealth. So, if you see any Nigerian person who has Allah in their name, like that part of the name means wealth.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I would. That's what my
Beautiful.
name means.
And what is your last name? I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Oh, last name is Adesanya. So Adesanya means my parents can't even agree on the meaning of it because the Yoruba is like not the type of Yoruba that they speak now.
Yeah.
But the word Ade refers to crown. So crown of something, but we don't really know what the
Well,
rest of it.
they didn't agree on it. They just said crown of something. So you're
Yeah,
going with
sorry about the noise. You might hear a little bit of noise outside because my
it.
neighbors
No,
are
it's fine.
wild.
It's New York City. It's fine. Like, I have the fish tank over here going off, so I don't know if you hear that. and my lighting
A little
sucks.
bit.
But, what you said?
I said I hear like the dripping. Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
now I'm like,
Now you hear it's like, oh, drip, drip. Like it's not us. It's the water tank. The fish tank. The water tank. Fish tank. But you have a really interesting name. Do you have a middle name or it's just I don't know how to pronounce your
yeah,
first
I have a
name?
middle name. I have a couple of middle names, but I think I'm gonna just keep
Okay.
it to
We're gonna keep it at what it is. Okay, that's
yes,
fine.
yes. First name and last name. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah. You also mentioned tribe. Yoruba, is that the tribe or is that like the language you speak? Like what is your tribe if you do come from a tribe in Nigeria?
So, I when I saw your question, I kind of thought about how I was gonna answer this question
Okay.
because like Yoruba is a tribe, right? So like the three, what they call the three biggest tribes, or the three, they call them the three biggest tribes. I call them the tribes that like um white colonizers choose to recognize.
Mm. Yeah, let's talk
Um,
about it. Yeah.
but the three main ones that people talk about is Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa slash Fulani, even though
Yeah.
Hausa is from Fulani. So,
That's like it's horrible.
yeah, so that's Yoruba is my tribe, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But within the umbrella of Yoruba is like so many other quote unquote tribes, or what some people call like subcultures, I guess, or like um I guess, or different flavors of Yoruba, if you will,
Yeah.
because different those tribes that fall under that umbrella
Mm-hmm.
speak Yoruba differently. So like um, the dialect sounds different. But sometimes if you listen to it, it sounds like a completely different language. So it's like kind of tough to say which one is its own tribe and which one is just like
Mm-hmm.
under the tribe of Yoruba. So yeah, let me just leave it general and say I'm Yoruba. But my parents come from different tribes.
Okay. Was there any conflict when they did marry or like have children? Was there any issues
Um,
with that? Or you
Not
know, like
really. I mean,
okay.
people had their opinions, but my parents were like, "We getting married, like that's it." Like,
That's it. I love
it
you. That's
wasn't like
it.
it wasn't like, oh my God, like somebody from a completely different, because they both speak Yoruba. So I think maybe if one of them was like from a totally different tribe, it would be different. But
Yeah.
it might have been a big problem. But they speak the same language. Yoruba is the language, but they just speak different dialects. And like if you listen to it, like to me, it sounds like possibly two different language. They just share like similar words sometimes. So it's hard to say. Yeah. But no, it wasn't really an issue for them. They were just like, we speak the same language, whatever, we came together.
It works. I know that sometimes that is an issue if you come from two different places or two different tribes. It's like, why are you marrying? Like, wait, we have beef. Why are you guys being together? And people try to potentially break those, potential partners up. So that's a good
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
to go through that.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. My computer froze. Give me a second. Getting ready for this third question. And now we're just going to delve right into finding your identity. I personally did not know that you were born in Nigeria, correct? Okay, so this is
Yeah.
something I didn't know. I'm learning. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have to just switch this question up a little bit since you were born in Nigeria. We have the Nigerian experience and the American experience. So as a Nigerian, I wouldn't even say direct descendant because you are born right Nigerian, natural right Nigerian. So as a born Nigerian, have you personally ever felt discriminated against because of your Nigerian roots when you came here? And what were some of those discriminatory practices that you faced when you came here?
Yeah. I don't think I was discriminated against. Like I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I was discriminated against, not to
Mm-hmm.
my knowledge.
Okay.
There was like teasing
Yeah.
at most, but like it wasn't really to any detrimental effect personally,
Mm-hmm.
because on the inside I felt like I was okay. But I was definitely curious to know why certain people had an issue with like how with like where I was from. Like I just it was very confusing to me as like a kid. So, but like I didn't care because I was just like I was just a kid. I was just like, whatever, let's play basketball. Whatever, let's play tag. Like that was just like my mindset. And the teasing was annoying, but like also when you come from a different country, a lot of stuff flew over my head because I was like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the insult means. I don't even know how I would respond.
Wow.
But I think like growing up and then looking back, it's like, damn, that was definitely like some bullying. But I don't think I was ever really like discriminated against because I was from Nigeria. Not to my knowledge.
So with the teasing and stuff, like I know like being African, back in like the early 2000s or whatever 90s, it was like a thing to call African people like African booty scratcher and like all the other derogatory names. So did you get any of those names? And like I know you said some things flew over your head, but was there anything that really stuck with you and you were like, man, like I hate this. I don't want to be Nigerian. I don't want to be African. Like I hate my name or whatever. Like did you ever go through a period feeling that way?
Mm. So if anything really stuck. So
Oh yeah.
in my mind, I felt like, oh my, this is gonna sound so arrogant, but
No.
I really just like, how do I explain this? I felt like, I was like good, like I was okay, like I know where I'm from, and I did have some people kind of say that I wasn't black or something like that, and that didn't make any sense because I look black,
Right.
and
Exactly.
I just didn't understand it because I'm like I come from like once I realized I was African, I was like I come from Africa, like how are you?
How am
Like
I
I
not
said, I was
black?
just confused about how other people why other people seem to have an issue
Yeah.
with me being Nigerian.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't think anything stuck in terms of like not related to being Nigerian, I'll
Mm-hmm.
say. I think there was a lot of like slang and stuff that I didn't know. And so for a while I was just like really lost and I didn't like that because I couldn't like, it was hard for me to relate to people because I didn't understand what kind of slang they were using. I grew up in East New York, so let me just put
Yeah.
that out there. Maybe that gives a little bit of context. Um,
Any other East New York
um,
people in here? Brooklyn people in the
yeah,
comments?
no,
Post.
just black people.
Okay.
Mostly, a lot of people from Jamaica, a lot of people from Haiti, a lot of people from
Yeah.
um, Barbados, Trinidad. So that was like mostly the community that I was in. Also, a lot of African Americans. So damn, I'm losing my train of thought right now. Crap.
I'll come back to you. Take your time. Take
But
your time.
but you were saying if anything really stuck.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing related to identifying as Nigerian stuck.
That's beautiful.
And then like maybe like a couple of years into understanding slang and stuff, and like
Mm-hmm.
literally just asking people like, what does this word mean? Like, when you say word, what does that mean? What do you mean by,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. So once I started kind of like just asking people what they were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
um, then I kind of made friends, and most of my friends were were either people who were from another country or they had parents from
Yeah.
another country. So I felt like it became kind of easier for me to relate to them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I said, like no, I can't think of anything that stuck to me as like being African because there's kind of like a little bit of I don't know if I can't call it no, I'm gonna call it a stigma, but like the assumption that if you're African, then you're also really smart. So I
Yeah.
feel like
That
that's
is true.
not, like it wasn't like people were saying that I was gonna be dumb or something. It's a little different. Um, yeah.
What about like in so you talked about social settings. So have you ever faced anything like in education institutions or like careers or even within your family? Well, not your family, but just like education and career. Because I know sometimes people can be discriminated or really just like kind of teased in a way or like what is the word I'm looking for?
And
They- they
Mhm.
will make you feel intimidated, especially when you're from another country. Like they know you're an immigrant. Has anyone ever made you feel, I guess, less than or intimidated in some way because they know
I think
about
they people have tried,
you? Okay.
and I know how I sound. I know how I sound
Wow.
when I say this. I know how I sound when I say this, but my parents didn't raise us to be ashamed of our culture,
Yeah.
and like where we're from. They raised us to be proud of being Nigerian. Um, so I think people have tried, and through the interactions that my parents had, it just kind of showed me um, the type of assumptions that people will make about you. One of them being if you speak English with an accent that's not an American accent, for example, people automatic like I can just see it. People automatically, you can just see the way that they change in the way that they speak to someone who doesn't speak English with an American accent. They start talking down on them. So like for me growing up, like I like as a kid, I didn't want that kind of experience, so I switched my accent up. But
Mm-hmm.
like um I guess maybe that is kind of something that now I'm thinking about maybe stuck in that I just switched up the way that I speak English outside my home. Um,
It's like a subtle
but
thing
yeah,
too.
I think yeah, it's a little more subtle.
Subtle, yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I definitely see the way that people interact with like my parents, especially, and that more so kind of informed how I changed
Yes.
myself than like someone making fun of me. Because I mean, like I said, like being from a different country, I didn't even understand a lot of insults. But then once I started to understand insults, then I just
Mm-hmm.
started speaking up too. So, yeah,
You had a
yeah.
backbone, in other words. Like you weren't someone you could just like walk over as a child.
I was quiet. I was
Okay.
quiet. Like I wouldn't say anything. But then
Mm-hmm.
once I figured things out, like if someone was like trying to put me down, then I would say something, and
Yeah.
then the person would be just as hurt, and I'd just be like, we could just not do this though. Like
You could have
we could just
avoided this,
not.
you
We could just
know?
not do this. Yeah. So
They didn't think you had the heat. That's why they're like, "Oh, she's quiet. Maybe I can pick on her." And it's like, no, don't try it. It's the wrong one.
yeah, yeah.
I'm glad that you were that strong. Like, especially because my brothers coming from Jamaica, like they kind of went through the whole like them having to switch up their accents and like my youngest brother, him going through getting in fights and like people coming at him because he's from Jamaica. So like I get it. I didn't personally experience it, but being a child who is of immigrant parents, like I can see how it's it's just frustrating when people have to like feel like they have to switch up around you or pick on you because you're not from America or you don't have American accent. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that you
yeah.
stuck with yourself.
It's really annoying. I mean,
It
my
is.
parents now, like we've been living here for so long now, we're just like whatever, it kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of used to it and like desensitized to it. Um,
Yeah.
but sometimes I think like if I came here at an older age, like would I switch up my accent? Like
Mm.
would I feel a little more insecure about it as opposed to like, you know, being a little younger and then like being in school and trying to talk like more like the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that too sometimes, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah. The experience that you have right now is your experience. You can't think of shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't be like I can't. It'll be to me. It'll feel now. It'll feel kind of like less genuine if I started switching things up like now because it's like,
That's
come
true.
on, like let's
Yeah.
just like at home with and when if I'm with other like Nigerians, I like then I'll say something in Yoruba or I'll switch up to like my Nigerian accent. But like for me to it's just not it's not what I wanna
You just
do.
feel like you don't have to do right now.
Yeah, like it just is what it is. Like kind of like you said.
Yeah. So just going back to like you going to school and dealing with people, staying quiet but always speaking up for yourself and not discarding your Nigerian image or roots. Have you ever spoken to your parents about these things and how did they deal with it? Like what did they say to you to help you get through it? Or even your siblings, like did you speak to them about it? And how did you guys
Yeah,
collectively
me and
get
my
through it?
we all talk about it because like that's just kind of like our experience. We go out into the world and we have all these experiences, and then we just come home and like rant about a bunch of just everything, really, like stuff that people say to you because of your name, or stuff that someone says to you to my parents because of their accent. Um, oh yeah, like yeah. So me and my family, we just talk about like
Hmm.
experiences that we have outside, and we just talk about it at home. But yeah, my parents are always. I think even in moments where like my sisters and I, like while we were like me and my siblings, actually I have more than two sisters. Even while we were assimilating and kind of getting used to
Give me
oh
one
my
second.
gosh, my
So
sister.
I think your sister said people asking us if you ran with lions in Africa. That's funny. Oh my god, that is a common one. That's annoying. I can only
Yeah,
imagine.
no, that was that was definitely one of them.
You should have just said yes.
Um,
Yep, they were our pets. Our dogs.
Not like in high school, I used to say that. In high school, I would say that. Like if somebody says something
Yeah.
ignorant, I'd be like, "Yep." And I
Yep.
had a chimpanzee. I had a hyena. I had a chimpanzee. All of that. Yeah.
Everything giraffe. Yep.
Like I just be like, "Yep, giraffes." All of that.
Yeah.
In high school, I used to joke around and say stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but damn, could you tell me that? Could you ask me that question again?
Yeah. No. So I was asking you, like, have you and your parents and siblings, well, basically your family, ever spoken about those discriminations or whatever you faced in school? Did you go home and speak about it?
Yeah, we went home and talked about it. We had like I don't I we talk about those things growing
Yeah.
up, but like my parents like brought us here for a better opportunity, American dream. So even despite
American
all
Dream.
those
Yeah.
things, they'd be like, don't mind them, don't listen to them, don't just read your books.
Yeah.
Like that was literally the response to any little thing. It's like, don't mind them, don't listen to that,
Yeah.
listen to them. My parents are very religious, so my mom was always like, if you always be the head and not the tail, like
Mm.
you'll be, she kind of like um spoke good things about us.
Yes.
So it wasn't like we never like got hurt or stuff or about stuff
Of
that
course.
people said to us. But I feel like my my mom especially, who's like very like strong in her faith, kind of speaking good things to us, it like softened the blow, if that makes sense.
Yes. You had a
So
support
yeah.
system that you can come home to. And that always helps as a
Yeah.
child, with any child that helps. You have somebody to confide and say, hey, I honestly feel hurt about this. Like, and your mom is feeding you affirmations like, no, like, you're this, you're that. Like, now you can go out into the world and feel like, you know what, my mom said this to me. Now I feel stronger and prouder. So I'm glad you had that support system. If you didn't, it
Yeah.
would be easy to fall apart. Trust
Prob-
me.
Probably. But also they sometimes they also didn't know what certain things means. But they would still
Yeah.
be dismissed. They would still dismiss it like whatever.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have you have you have books to read. You got to get these grades. Like
Yeah.
that's the important stuff. Like that was like that's the important stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah.
But I
No,
like the
but
fact that,
even to this day.
yeah. No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, even to this day, like my parents still have like, interactions with people where they're like disrespectful to them about like their accent and stuff. But like, I think my parents now, once they now that they've like had a better understanding about race and how important or like
Mm.
how much of a role like their race plays into things, I think they kind of just kind of brush it off their shoulders, or they just kind of come home and rant about it to each other or to us
Hmm.
or their friends. Yeah.
Are they still dismissive about it? Or they try to find ways to, like, I don't know, like, find resolve to it? Or, like, shut it down? People do try to.
They're in their 60s. They're not trying to
You're
they're
right.
in it like their self-esteem has already been developed. They were like in their 40s when they came here.
That's very true. You're
Um
right. Yeah.
so it's a little different.
Yeah.
There's sometimes they get mad about certain things where they're just like, I can't believe this is still happening.
Mm.
But I think when you have certain responsibilities and priorities like paying the rent, making sure you have a job to pay your rent and cover expenses for yourself and your kids, are just like how much importance are you gonna put on somebody not liking your accent. So I think they just find
It's
it
very
helpful to talk to each other about it. Yeah.
true. Yeah. And not rest too heavily on it, because I feel like it's easier for us younger people to let things replay and like, oh, this person made fun of my accent or the way I look or whatever. For older people, it's like, yo, we have much more responsibilities other than what somebody else says or what they think about us. Like, we don't care about that. I aspire to
Yeah.
reach that level of of
Yes,
not giving a
yes.
fuck.
I'm trying to
Like,
get there
excuse
too.
my
No, no, no.
language,
I'm
people.
trying to get there too. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
you
get there
know.
too. Like, I'm not like that about like my identity as a Nigerian per se,
Yeah.
but like other stuff, I'd be like, man, I can't be thinking too hard about this.
No,
So
you
yeah,
definitely
no.
can. You will reach that level. Don't worry. So, were there any? So, for you specifically, I know that growing up in Nigeria, coming here, are there any things that you intentionally rejected as a child, like from your culture while you were in school? Like maybe school,
Oh
maybe your mom made you lunch, and you bring something to lunch one day, and somebody's like, "Oh, what's that?" or something like that.
no, I wish my mom. So in Nigeria, my mom used to give us food to go to school.
Yeah.
And I hated that that stopped because I couldn't eat the food here for a little while. Like I did not like pizza. It's like get this
Oh,
burger out of my face. What is this chicken? This is not. I was like, what the fuck is this?
what is this rubbish?
I was not used to. I was just not used to. I was just. It's just a
Yeah.
different diet. It's not the diet that I grew up around. So it took a while for me to get adjusted to school lunch. So I was just not eating. I
Oh
wish
my
my mom gave me food to bring to school. I would toy. Yeah, no, I was not ashamed of the food that I ate. I wished I wanted other people to be interested in my culture or be as respectful of my culture as I was about theirs. Because I was like so open to learning about other people and their differences that I was
Yeah.
like, damn, how come nobody asking me about my culture and stuff?
Right.
So like I said, that was like my main issue was just like not understanding like why other people felt some type of way about where I was from, not so much like me feeling that way. Um, yeah. I wish my mom gave me lunch. She
Right.
was,
Like, sure, this is what I'm used to. But even
yeah.
within that, like you being open to other people's culture, I think a lot of times people already had this identity or still have this idea of Africa that's portrayed in media, like, oh, Africans, you run with lions or you do this, you're savages, this, that, and the third. So for centuries, that has been the narrative for Africans. So, and I
Mhm.
love that you are open to other people. So now that Nigeria and Africa on the whole is like a pretty much a big deal. How do
It's
you feel about
changed
that?
so
How do you
much.
feel about that? I kind of like
I
jumped
love it.
all the questions, but we were already there. So how do you feel about that now? Like music?
I love it. I'm like, yo, it's
Yeah.
about time. And I think like I think for a while, like before all the I mean before Burna Boy, before
Mhm.
Wizkid. I mean, it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely before Burna Boy, maybe around the time when Wizkid was kind of coming up. There were other artists too who made music and who were making music.
Yeah.
Um, and to me, it was like I thought it was really cool, and it was kind of like a relief because before that, if you went to a party, it was mostly they used to play like really old Nigerian music that like my parents grew up with. So it felt like there was nothing like current for me as like a teenager growing up. I wasn't listening to, younger artists making music for somebody like me. So it
Mhm.
was so once like when Burna Boy comes out, Wizkid, the band like when the whole Mavens group is coming out, like all these artists are coming out more and more and more. Like I love it, and I think it's great because now I have music that I can listen to from someone who's Nigerian like me. Maybe they grew up in another country um, at an older age or something. Like it's music that I can relate to by people that's like closer in age to me. Whereas for a while, like when we were younger, and my mom would take us out to like birthday parties and stuff, we
Mhm.
would be like 12, 13, listening to to um to like the music that my parents grew up
So can you give us some
with,
names?
and it's
Is
like
that more like traditional or like just the old
yes,
school?
it's more
Okay.
traditional. It's like more storytelling, and
Okay.
I just did not like it was
Something.
the way that other Nigerian kids sometimes would dance to was just like a little different from how like my sisters and I would want to dance. So
Yeah.
I love it now. I think it's great now with the new dance moves. It's really similar to like African American culture with the new dances. People like around your age, you know, that you could relate to and stuff. Somebody said every time someone speaks about Burna Boy, you only blush.
That is so true. And that is how we met. Me and Dami met at a Burna Boy
Yes,
concert. We both went
yes,
solo dolo. And listen, that's how you
right,
know I love
right,
Burna.
right.
That's how you know. But I feel like even with me, I know I'm not, I don't know if I'm a culture vulture because I go to classes with you, dance classes. I take Afrobeats classes. I listen to
Mm.
nothing but Afrobeats. I'm like, am I even Jamaican anymore? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't know. Do you ever feel like people are becoming culture vultures who are not? I'm still of the African diaspora. Just I don't know. Just
I
can we?
wouldn't call you a culture vulture.
Okay.
If you put out a whole album, if you put out an album
Yeah.
or something like that, then I'd be like,
They're like,
what you
all
doing?
right. Like, yeah.
No,
Little problematic
if you
sometimes.
no, that's not. I wouldn't call you a culture vulture. I think
Okay.
no, you just like appreciate. I should say the Nigerian culture. But
Do.
I don't follow. I should say instead on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I think I follow maybe two people who are not Nigerian who do Nigerian dances. But the
Okay.
two people that I follow, they're both Korean and they go to the like the classes that are led by like Nigerians,
Okay.
Ghanaians. So I
Yeah.
personally don't feel like they're culture vultures either because when they like post about the class, they
Mm-hmm.
post the name of the song, they post the name of the choreographer, so then I know okay, I'm gonna take this person's class since you know this was
Right.
the choreography that they did. Um, I personally I don't know if there are any culture vultures because I don't follow any.
That's
I
good.
wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if there was like but I just don't know of any. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You can't think of anything off the top of your head. I'm sure they're out there though. I definitely saw a video like it was probably last year. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like it was pretty much viral. There was a class. I don't know what country it was. It probably was a European country, and basically
Mhm.
the woman who was dancing, she had on like a caricature costume. It was a black woman, and she was like
Mhm.
dancing on her head top and like doing all this stuff, and people around here like jeering her on and like going in. And then the lady takes off the mask or whatever, the costume head, and it's a white woman. I'm like, are you guys making fun of us? Are you celebrating
Hmm.
us? It was a little problematic. I can't find the video now. If I can, I'll send it to you.
Hmm.
But it was like a big thing. So there's
Wow.
people out there who are definitely, trying to shit on us.
Mhm.
But it's like you're in class doing dances that we do. So are you showing appreciation or are you making fun of us? Is this mockery? So
Right. Right.
I don't know. It's out
I
there though.
I honestly I wouldn't be surprised if there are culture vultures, but I'm not even too worried. Just because like, especially if it's someone who like goes to Nigeria, like in general. Um,
Fine. Hold on.
how do I say this? If oh oh gosh, I feel like if someone was a culture, I don't even know if someone could really be a culture vulture and go to Nigeria and like
Mm.
be like I feel like if someone did not really understand Nigerian culture or music and they weren't from the like they weren't from Nigeria and they tried to teach a dance class in Nigeria, it wouldn't
It would work.
people would just they would probably just make fun of them like what are you trying to do? I think that's what
Yeah.
would happen. I don't it might be a little bit different if the person was in like a European culture and they're like, "Oh, I'm teaching this
Yeah.
Afro dance class or something." It might be a little bit different, but I don't think that they could be successful in I would say Nigeria because I don't know about
Yeah.
other countries, but
Because like you're not
I
from
really,
here.
huh?
Because like you're not from here, so like
Exactly. Yeah, I
what are you
can't,
really trying to do here?
but like I said, I don't know of any culture virtues and I don't know of any, like, I didn't even, what you just told me right now is like new to me. I didn't know that that happened.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like it's similar to like blackface a little bit.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what it
Like
is.
kind of.
Yeah, pretty much what it
Damn,
is.
I did not know that. That
When
sounds terrible.
it's horrible. It's actually really horrible. When you don't pay homage, or like you, basically when you don't pay homage to the source of whatever art you're doing, it's like now you're just
Yeah,
appropriating and you're being disrespectful of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even when like when we take classes, sometimes like even the
Yeah,
if the artist is, I mean, if the choreographer is from Nigeria, for example, like they'll tell you the name of the move. They'll tell you who
they will
who created the move. Even if you take a dance hall class, they'll tell you the name of the move,
all the time.
what song it came from. Like you'll get the
Hmm.
context and like the feeling behind how the
Yeah,
move is supposed to do. Um, sorry. So yeah,
you're good. You're good.
um, so so yeah. Um, I feel like that's the way to do it because like there's a certain way that you do certain moves. So I feel like if you don't add the context, then you just look funny.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think we're just gonna jump back a little bit. So,
Okay.
I had mentioned, about you growing up in Nigeria, coming here. Was there ever a time where you felt like you had to like assimilate, and did your family ever tell you to assimilate, or like encourage you to like maybe change your accent, change the way you dress, your hairstyle, whatever it may be, just to feel more American?
Which so changing the way we speak,
Mm-hmm.
yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Um, it kind of happened like in terms of just the way that like going to school and stuff, and like if you were reading out loud, if you have a different accent, you're reading out
Yeah.
loud, like you're gonna get corrected over and
Yes.
over and over. And so like,
Yes.
I just got tired of it and changed. And I guess I switched up. I don't have like memory of one defining moment where my accent changed. It just became what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of assimilating, no, because um, there's kind of that whole idea like you don't want to be like them other black people. So
Right.
I feel
That's
like
a
that
thing.
was like which is not good. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
good reason to say not to um it's not a good thing to say, but that was the reason why I didn't assimilate. It was like I don't want to be,
Like that.
I don't want people to make certain assumptions about
Mm-hmm.
me. Yeah.
Wow. Hold on. Hello, Yoli Bear, my my brother. Hi,
Uh,
Carlo. I know we're running out of time, so I'm just trying to go really quickly, but at a good pace.
okay.
So it's crazy because I did not know you were born in Nigeria. So a lot of the questions that I have was like visiting home and like this. I'm like, hold on. Now
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
I feel like we can still answer the questions
okay,
too.
all right, all
Like
right.
going back. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what has it been like? Have you been back to Nigeria, and what was that like for you? Maybe like the first time you went back, or like, even your
Yeah.
most recent memory of going back. What was it like for you?
I went back like after my first year of college, and
What
I
years
went
was
with my
that?
mother. That was 2013, but I haven't been back since then because of like school, and school just takes up a lot of time.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, we went back. That was like the first time I had gone back. I haven't been back since.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just went to see like family, and the place where we live isn't the developed part of Lagos, which is like where, I went to school and stuff when I was younger. It's still like a rural part. So when I got there, I was surprised that we were still like in the rural part. And by rural, I mean like village. It's just more like a
Yeah.
village. So that was surprising because I had a certain image and like an expectation. And my mom said things had changed, but I was like, okay, but they don't look like, the
Mm-hmm.
pictures and stuff that I see of the developed part of, Lagos and stuff. So that was a little bit shocking, but it was nice to talk to my grandmother. Then I like at that time I really noticed the difference in the way she speaks Yoruba and the way like my mom speaks Yoruba. And what else? We weren't there for that long. It was like 2.5 weeks. It was me and my brother. The both of us at that time, we just liked recording stuff, so we were just recording each other doing dumb stuff. Um,
How
that
old
was
were you
pretty much
at that
it.
time?
I was 18. I turned
18.
18.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like literally, I
So
came here.
nine.
It's like
So
I came
literally
here
9
around
years.
9, like, exactly, and then
9 years
another nine
after.
year. Who knows?
Wow.
Maybe I'll go another 9 years,
Nine.
but
Yeah. Yeah. nine
every
year
9 years I go
anniversary.
to Nigeria. Um, yeah, I might end up going this year at some point.
You definitely
Hopefully,
could.
maybe.
If
Yeah.
Corona, Corona and all this extra stuff. So
Yeah.
we
No,
have
you
a
can
question.
ask me the questions. Oh,
It's somebody. All
how?
right. Oh, how did you feel when teachers slash professors tried to pronounce your name? Because when they try to say my last name, I'll say I'm here or present before they even tried it because they failed 98% exam. I always correct
That's
them.
so many people. That is so
Yeah.
many people. Yeah, I remember the very first time I think I heard my last name said. I didn't even answer because I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" Like, I don't even know. It's like
Like, who is
that's
that?
not me, and I just like said it the right way. But then I
Mhm.
think once I realized that it was gonna keep getting mispronounced, I was just like, that's me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now I like at that time I realized like what the wrong pronunciation of it was gonna be.
Mhm.
Um, but I've heard so many variations of my name, girl. And now I'm just kind of desensitized to it. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me.
Like I'm over
That's
this.
me. Like, yeah. And then with my name, I'm just shortened it to Dami, and so
Yeah.
um, that's just that.
I
Yeah.
forgot, Dominique, this whole time I'm speaking to you, I forgot to pin the. I'm just all over the place today. Guys, bear with me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to explain this whole entire thing once I post it to my page. I should have pinned it. I'm going to pin it right now. I'm so sorry, Dominique.
Oh
Wow.
wait, what are you thinking?
So I was supposed to pin your handle and our discussion.
Oh, okay. My
Wow.
sister said my sister said she always corrects teachers until they know
As you should.
how to pronounce her name. Yeah. I mean,
All right.
Dami to me is already pretty easy. If somebody
It's
has
very easy.
has difficulty saying Dami, I just be like, yo, that's your headache.
Yeah. All right, so let's go right into your. It was supposed to be artistry, but I know that you do a lot of different things. So can you just let us know what you do as a creative, if you consider yourself a creative, and also what you do, career-wise, or what you aspire to do?
So I just finished medical school, so like my main
Yeah.
priority is to eventually start working as a doctor someday. Um, but on
Yes.
the side, like my creative outlets are photography. Like maybe a little over a year, I started making cinemagraphs because I think they're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just started really getting into like concert photography, like just yeah, just editing photos and stuff like that. So that's mostly what's on my Instagram page. I usually delete stuff or archive stuff every year, so like some of my things aren't gonna be. If anyone goes and checks out my page, they're not gonna see a lot of my older cinemagraphs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's like some of my creative. Those are the creative outlets outside of being in school, because school can take up a lot of time. But it's really helpful to be balanced and to do other things.
Yeah.
I also like to knit and crochet.
Dancing.
Um, yeah, dancing.
Yes. Yes.
I
Did you leave
love
that out?
these
Because you're
dance
definitely.
challenges.
I think you left that
These
out.
dance challenges have been keeping me so like I don't know. Like sometimes I'm so bored at home and I'm like, let me do this dance challenge, like just for
I mean,
fun. Yeah,
but
so
you're
I
not a
like to
bad
dance.
dancer, so you're still a dancer, regardless of the fact. You
All
still
right. Thank you. I
pursue
don't feel
art.
comfortable calling myself a dancer because I feel like I could be better. But
That's
but
fair.
yeah, dancing is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I met you because like once you showed me those like the remember we went to like dance weeks or something like that, and I
Yes,
was
like the
like, we
the
have
dance.
this. This is here in New York City, and I did not know about like I could just sign up for a
You could
dance
literally
class like.
ran into the room and just dance and
Yeah.
live your best life.
So I mean, I was like, yo, I'm doing this. So ever since then, I've just been taking more dance classes, and I like it too because I feel like I'm supporting people that share, a similar background as me. Like I'm paying for the class, but I'm also having fun in the class. And most of the people that I've met, all
Mm-hmm.
of them are very positive when they're in the class. Like they're very encouraging.
Very
Nobody is
true.
like, no, you don't know how to dance. People are like, no, you dance like you, do your
Yeah.
own thing, take
Yes.
like
Don't try
like
to dance like
so
me.
far. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like things like yourself. Like a lot of the choreographers that of whose classes I've taken, they've all been very positive. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still keep doing that.
Your sister said you're a dancer, sis. Let her know. Yes, she is. She definitely is.
You can ask me all the questions on there because I looked at it and I was like,
Mhm.
there's just like this one little detail, but I can still answer.
All right.
I can
So,
still answer that. Yeah.
mm, do you feel like does your artistry? So I know you said you do like cinematography. Is am I saying it correctly?
No, no. So it's
Cin,
cinematograph
cinema.
making, I guess. It's weird. I know it's weird.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know what?
know.
You can call it photography because it is kind of under
Okay.
photography. But
Yeah.
cinematography is just different because that's more like film, I think.
Exactly. So with that, or let's just say with that art field, do you feel like you ever try to like show your culture through that, like maybe through a
Mhm.
Nigerian lens, so people can see like no?
No, I do not. No,
That was
I don't. Not with photography. With photography, it's
yeah.
just like whatever because I want to get better at it. So it's like whatever I can get my hands on.
Hmm.
But the person who inspired me to even take my camera to concerts is someone who's Nigerian who does concert photography only for not even Nigerian artists. He's Nigerian, but he just does concert photography for only African artists. So like on
Amazing.
his portfolio is just a bunch of African artists, and that was what inspired me to like pick up my camera and just take it with me to concerts. So
Hmm.
like if I can make money from that, I would
Yeah.
like to be like him and just like concentrate on something more cultural like that. But as of right now, my photography isn't focused on, being African or anything like
Yeah.
that. It might be.
It's fine.
That's actually when I read the question, I was like, maybe I should really like maybe give it a focus a little bit.
Maybe.
Um,
Don't I feel
yeah,
like you shouldn't force it. If it's a calling, then you can do it. But the thought
right,
is
yeah,
there, and you were inspired. Your inspiration came from another, African artist. So possibly down the line, it could get to that point.
right,
Is
right.
your art?
With
Do you think
dancing,
that's it?
I mean, with dancing, it definitely is because like the classes that I take are all like Afro dance or something, like
Exactly.
pretty much. Maybe like a dance hall class here and there, but it's mostly other Nigerians. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So in the future, or even with your future career aspirations, will you ever like? I don't know how to tailor this question, especially with your career that you're going to embark on. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
culture will tie into that because you're in the medical field. So, do you ever want to have your own practice possibly, or like really help a certain demographic in the future? Has that ever been a thought for you, or it's just like I just want to help people, so I just chose this
Mhm.
field?
So I got into like I became interested after volunteering with other doctors who I thought were pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Who maybe not cool is not the right word, but people who I work with and I wanted to be like them.
Hmm.
And so like the path that I took and the school that I went to, they really focused on they wanted to one increase like representation of Black and Latino kids who go into medicine. So
Yeah.
most of the people in the school were Black or Latino, right? So they wanted to like train us to like basically want to serve our community. So that's kind of like the type of like that's like where I want to go into is like just working with people, working in communities where um I mean, I gotta make sure I word this right. Working in communities where they don't really have enough doctors, and that just happens to be my community anyway.
Yeah,
So that is kind of like they call it in the professional world, it's like the underserved. But being underserved doesn't necessarily
yeah.
mean being black.
Being black,
Um,
exactly. But a lot of times that is the word they use overall, and the thing is counting down. Okay, but yeah, I just want you to
yeah,
finish the last point. Yeah, but that is definitely what they call. If it's not minority, it's underserved, and it's like white people are not the majority. But I get it. I do understand, and they're trying
yeah,
to be PC or politically correct with these terms.
yeah, right, yeah. That's kind of yeah. That's I'm gonna just leave it at that because I'm still kind of figuring out exactly where I want to go. So
Yeah,
I may
no
just
problem, no pressure. But I like that you are with your creative feeling, even with like your career aspirations. I feel like you're still somehow tying in your people, like the
yeah,
Black and Brown community, into whatever you want to do, and that's amazing. We need that.
yeah, yeah.
So before we close out officially, I wanted to ask you this one last question, and possibly save a few seconds for people to ask questions. What is what's an important lesson you've learned as a I guess I could call you a first generationer, and how has that helped you in life?
The most important lesson. I think I kind of wrote this down a little bit. Let's see.
I don't want to say.
Oh yes. So I think a lesson that has been important for me and like my siblings to learn is not um like we don't have to prove how much of one culture we are to anybody at the
Yeah,
end of the day because you know like when you're first generation or if you grew up partly in one country or another country you're a
exactly.
combination of both. So I feel like sometimes people who are only Nigerian or like mostly Nigerian or mostly American